Hello students, this is going to be the very last lesson of Unit 4. We are going to work with writing equations from 2 points. And you basically know how to do it all. We just have to do 2 things that you already know how to do together in one problem. So I would have your notebook out and your pencil and start working some of these problems with me. So let's do a review problem from last time. We're going to write an equation in point-slope form. Remember, that's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And we're going to plug it in and simplify it down to slope-intercept form. So we have x1, we have y1, and obviously we have our m with our point of negative 6, 1 and our slope of 2/3. So here we go. Let's plug it all in. Y minus y1, which is 1, equals 2/3, which is our slope, times x minus a negative 6. So we're going to make that a positive plus 6. Leaving y minus 1 alone. 2/3 x, we're just leaving alone. That's going to be our slope. 2/3 of 6 would give us 4. And again, you can do it off to the side. This simplifies down to 4 over 1, which is 4. So let's get the y by itself. I'm going to add 1 on both sides. Y equals 2/3 x plus 5. And I think I showed you last time, but if I didn't, you can definitely check, plug in this for x and this for y. So I'd have 1 equals 2/3 of negative 6 plus 5. 1 equals a negative 4 plus 5. Negative 4 plus 5 is 1. I know that it checks out. And we're going to be doing that a couple of times in this lesson as well. So we could do this again. We have a slope of 2 and a point there. We could do it in point slope form, but I want to go ahead and move on to 2 points. So here we have 2 points. First thing I would say is we need to find our slope. And our slope in this case that we're going to use is the change in y over the change in x. So this is an x, this is a y, this is an x, this is a y. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my y's, and I'm going to see how they change. If I go from 1 to negative 2, my change in y is that it went down 2 points. Went from a negative 1 to, from a positive 1 to a negative 1. That went down, or a negative 2. My x's, my change in x's, I'm going from a negative 2 to a 0. That actually came up 2 points. So a negative 2 over a negative 1, negative 2 over a positive 2 gives me a negative 1 if I simplify it. That's my slope. Now, that being said, I'm going to erase all of this up here. I now have a point. Here's a point and my slope. So now I'm just doing y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I'm doing that. So y minus a negative 1, be a y plus 1, equals m times x minus 0. Plugged in the numbers. Whoops. Let's plug in the slope too while we're at it. Terribly sorry. That would be a negative 1. Y plus 1 equals a negative 1x. And then 0, so I'm just even going to leave it alone. I'll put plus 0 just in case. Subtract my 1. Y equals a negative 1x minus 1. There is my equation. Now, to check it, what I would do is plug this point in. Our y is 1, negative 1 times a negative 2 minus 1. Negative 1 times negative 2 gives me a positive 2. Minus 1 gives me 1, which is what I should get. So this is my check. And I use 1 point for the problem and then another point for the check. So let's do this again. Let's find slope first. Remember, slope again that we're going to be using is the change in y over the change in x, just like on a table. So change in y, I'm going from 1 to -4. That goes down 5, so it's a -5. And my change in x, I go from a -2 up to a 3. That, I believe, is a +5. I put them together, I get a -1. So now, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Plug my numbers in, and we'll use this point first. Y minus 1 equals a -1 times x. And it would be minus a -2, so it would be +2. Leave the first part alone. -1x. A -1 times a +2 gives me a -2. Add 1 to both sides. My answer, y equals a -1x, and that's going to be a -1. So again, now I'm going to go back and check, but now I'm going to use my other point. -4 equals -1 times 3 minus 1. -1 times 3 gives me -3 minus 1 gives me a -4, which matches up. It is correct. Let's try number 5. And I'm not going to erase everything, but I'm going to erase some of this so that I have room. Number 5, change in y. -5 to a 3, that comes up 8. And then a -5 to a -3, they're both still negative, but it does come up 2. So 8 divided by 2, my slope is 4. So here we go, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Oh, we're going to start with this one. And I know because they're both negative, I'm going to add 5. Equals 4 times x plus 5. Y plus 5. Do the distributive property. 4x plus 20. Subtract 5 on both sides. Y equals 4x plus 15. Okay, now I'm going to use yellow. I'm going to plug that in. Y is 3. Equals 4 times a -3 plus 15. 4 times a -3 is a -12 plus 15. That brings me out of the hole and gives me 3, which is what I should have gotten. It checks out. Let's do number 6. Y's, change in y, I go from 6 to 9. That's a +3. 8, x's, I go from a -8 to a -2. That comes up 6. So that gives me a slope, if I simplify it, of 1/2, which we can do. Okay, here we go. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Let's use the second one this time. Y minus 9 equals 1/2 of x, and it's a -2, so it's going to be +2. Let's do the distributive property. 1/2 x, half of 2 is a 1. I'm going to add 9. So I get y equals 1/2 x plus 10. I'll use yellow again. Let's plug this one in. Y is 6. 1/2 of a -8. Plus 10. Half of -8, I believe, is -4. Plus 10 gives me a +6, which is what I end up with. Okay, you go ahead and pause the video and do the next 3 problems and see how you do. Remember to find your slope first and then use the point slope form. And then I would recommend checking your answer. I'm not going to check them anymore, but I would recommend that you check them just to make sure. Pause the video and do them, and then come back and I will do all 3 of them. So let's find the slope. -1 to 5, that gives me a difference of 6. -1 to 1, that gives me 2. 6 divided by 2 gives me 3. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I just get into the habit of writing that for every single problem. And I'm going to use this first number because then I can just add them. Y plus 1 equals 3 times x plus 1. So y plus 1 equals 3x plus 3. Subtract the 1 to get y by itself. Y equals 3x plus 2. And there is my answer for number 12. We'll do the same thing. Y's 4 to 6 goes up 2. 2 to 3 goes up 1, so my slope is 2. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. We'll use the first one again. So y minus 4 equals 2 times x minus 2. Y minus 4 equals 2x minus 4. Now I'm going to add 4. So y equals 2x. And I can leave it because these cancel out. Or if you really need to, you can put plus or minus 0. And that is our answer. Last one on this page, slope. Change in y is 4. Change in x is also 4. 4 divided by 4, my slope is going to be 1, which will make it easy. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Let's see, I'll plug in this first one. Y minus 3 equals 1 times x plus 2. Minus and negative 2 would be plus 2. Distributive property, 1x plus 2. Add 3 to both sides. Y equals 1x plus 5. Or if you want to just write y equals x plus 5. Either way, that is correct. Very good. Okay, one more time. You guys pause the video, do these 3 problems on your own, and then come back and I will do them for you. Number 15, change in y is 1, change in x is 4. There's my slope. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I'll go ahead and use the first number. Y minus 1 equals 1/4 of x minus 4. Y minus 1 stays the same, distributive property. 1/4 x minus 1, because 1/4 of 4 is 1. I'm going to add 1. I'm going to have another one that has a y-intercept of 0, so y equals 1/4 x. Or if you want to put that y-intercept in there plus 0, I don't care which one you do. Let's do the same thing. Change in y, this time it's going down 2, 5 to 3 goes down 2. Change in y, a -9 to a -3, that is up 6, so it's a positive 6. So I simplify this, my slope is -1/3. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So let's go ahead and use the first number again. Y minus 5 equals a -1/3 times x plus 9, because a minus a -9 gives me the plus 9. Y minus 5, I got -1/3 x, and a -1/3 of 9 is 3. I know negative times a positive gives me a negative. Add 5 to both sides to get y by itself. -1/3 x, and this would give me a plus 2, and there is my answer. Again, I'm not checking them, but you definitely should be checking them. Last one on this page at least. Change in y, 2 to a -1, that is going down 3. 1 to a -2, that's also going down 3. But a negative 3 divided by a negative 3 gives me a positive 1. So let's go ahead, do point slope form. Let's use the second number just because then I can do pluses. Y plus 1 equals 1 times x plus 2. Do the distributive property. Subtract 1 to get y by itself. 1x, and that would be plus 1. Or again, you could write it just x plus 1. You don't necessarily need that 1. Some people like it there so they remember. Others, it doesn't really matter. Last one. Let's go ahead and do it all together. Let's find our slope. 4 to negative 2, that's going down 6. 2 to 5, that's going up 3. Negative 6 divided by 3 gives me a negative 2. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Oh, let's go ahead and use this first point. Y minus 4 equals a negative 2 times x minus 2. This one's going to stay the same. Now we'll do the distributive property. Negative 2, that's going to give me a positive 4. And then I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Y equals a negative 2x plus 8. Now, before I totally say we're done, we're going to check it. So y equals negative 2x plus 8. I'm going to plug in this second number. Negative 2 is y. Negative 2 times 5 plus 8. Negative 2 times 5 is a negative 10. Plus 8. Do not totally come out of the hole. That's going to be a negative 2, which works, and it is okay. Lots of practice, but this is something you definitely need to be comfortable with. Your homework is going to be in Go Formative, and it's exercises, 4.8 exercises 1 through 12. It's basically 12 2 points. I give you 2 points 12 times, and you're going to do all the work and then just enter your equation in the form of y equals mx plus b, no spaces, all that kind of stuff. If it's a fraction, you use the fraction bar, but you should have no trouble. If you have questions, feel free to message me and we will go over it, but we will also be going over it in class. Have a great day.